It was the eye-catching tweet that got us all talking when earlier this week a leading health specialist suggested we might not need a coronavirus vaccine.
Professor Carol Sikora, a positive voice of reason in this pandemic, wrote there's a real chance the virus will burn out naturally. So could a vaccine be meaningless? Well, Professor Carol joins us now and it's lovely to talk to you.
It is.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. I've got to ask first of all, though, I mean, I love a voice of positivity. This is essential for all of us now. You are an oncologist, so are you guessing about virology or do you have any background in virology as well?
I have a background in immunology and obviously cancer, but cancer is where my comfort zone. Virology, I was straying out. But, you know, my patients, cancer patients all over the country are suffering. They're not being diagnosed. They're not coming forward for treatment. So the quicker we can get out of this, the better for them. And it's the same for cardiac patients, patients with heart disease. So the lockdown, of course, affects everybody socially, but more importantly, people are too frightened to go to the GPs, and the whole entry system into the NHS has sort of come to a halt. It's just beginning to pick up. And when it comes, there'll be a surge of people with a cancer diagnosis that need treatment. So it's a challenge to sort this out. And that's why some positivity is really necessary because, you know, the vaccine, it'll come, there's no doubt. When it'll come, you know, will it be September? Will it be January next year? And when it comes, it'll be fine. But all the factors look as though things are changing with the pathogen and with us as society.
Because the bit that sort of caught our eye in the tweet that you sent out was that we need to keep slowing the virus, but it could be petering out by itself. And you said that other pandemics have petered out. It happened with SARS and it happened with MERS.
And it happened with the Great Plague, the bubonic plague. No one understands. And I've looked at the literature of why pandemics end. And in the past, obviously, there were no vaccines. The great historic pandemics in Asia, in Italy, and the whole of Europe, in fact. Pandemics tend to follow the routes of travel, the routes of the old Silk Road from China through Asia into Europe was one of the spreaders of the plague. And it ended in a piffle. It just went poof and went. You know, the military metaphor is we're going to blast this virus and get it out. Mr. Trump would love that. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to die quietly and go away. The question is how much society is willing to take the risk to actually start moving out. And people are...
How much of society is it going to take with it before it dies out?
Exactly. And, you know, cancer patients, the calculation is simple. If we have to wait till September to start treating cancer patients, something like 50,000 people will actually die of their cancer, which is more than have died, sadly, so far with the pandemic. So there's a balance here. We've got to get moving. We've got to accept risk. And people are so shattered now, they don't want to take any risk. And politicians can't be the risk.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that I want to be positive. We all want to be positive, and that's what we're trying to do on this show, is to look at the positive side. And yesterday, we were all looking towards the potential of a September vaccine. We know it's early. We were always told that it could be 12 to 18 months, but September, wow, that's incredible. Up go our spirits. Our mental approach to this begins to get a little bit more positive. Last night I read all of the monkeys in those trials have all caught the virus. So you think, well, that's the end of that then. So we were all looking forward to it. It lasted one day, that positivity.
I know. There are tests for the antibody, and it does look as though a significant percentage of people have actually had the virus, and the different studies all over the world come out differently, is what you expect. So almost certainly, we don't know how many people have been infected already in Britain, but it's going up all the time. And that's good, because eventually we're going to get immune and the virus will basically drop in its incidence. It's really amazing how the NHS has coped. You know, we really thought it could be blown over Easter, but it wasn't. It coped admirably. The Nightingale hospitals are sort of unnecessary. And I just hope the vaccine's unnecessary, but we've got to do it. There's absolutely no doubt the decision to go ahead and try and make that Oxford vaccine competitive one from China, another one from the US. We need as much as possible using different technologies, which is great because one of these technologies will work. And we need to understand, have a backstop if the virus, if I'm wrong, basically, and it doesn't peter out. And who knows what's going to happen. And but for the sake of my patients, I really hope it will peter out soon so we can get back to business.
Have you seen evidence of it petering out anywhere else in the world?
Absolutely. If you take the 4 countries that went back a month ago now, 14th of April, the Tuesday after Easter, Austria, Czech Republic, Norway, and Denmark, they've seen no rise in it. It's continued to go down despite the unlocking of the whole lockdown process. So the R0, the magic number that even my grandchildren know about, the age 4, I only remember it from 50 years ago as a medical student. We live in a crazy world. Even those countries, though, have actually shown no increase in the number of cases, which is fantastic. Sure, you get little blips. In Korea, a guy goes into a few nightclubs on a Friday night and causes havoc, but everything was controlled there. Can we do the same here? Yes, I think we're very socially responsible here. I think the public's been just great.
And you do worry about the sort of collateral damage from lockdown, and included in that, not only your cancer patients, obviously, but also the well-being and mental health of an awful lot of people.
Mental health is really important. And some of us, I've been carrying on because I'm sort of an old medic, basically, and I'm in the cancer centre here now, down in Newport, South Wales. The trains are empty. It's actually quite a pleasure to come. You don't get any breakfast at the stations. There's no cafes open. That's the only negative side. I've got a little flask and I can drink it. And I think the problem for a lot of people is they're consumed with fear about this, especially older people, and they're locked up. They feel they can't go out the door. And one of my friends just spoke to me this morning. He's the same age as me. He has got cancer and he's on chemotherapy, so he's isolating just for his own protection. And it's really difficult to know what to say. I said, well, come and have a coffee tomorrow in London. But he's scared to go out of the house. And a lot of people feel that. So anything you can do, which you're doing with this program, to cheer people up, to show that you can use Zoom and all these technologies that really foreign to my generation. We didn't know how. My kids know how to do it. And it's great to see that keeping up a positive approach is so really vital now for mental.
What do you think about schools? They're being pushed now to the beginning of June, that perhaps it's the time to open schools. So what are your thoughts there?
My thought, let's go for it. Let's do nurseries and primary schools. Let's just try it. I know there's been problems. I know, I got involved with school teachers in the past about a nuclear threat from an electronic mast near the school in Cambridge, rural Cambridgeshire. You can't win. You can't win against fear. If people are scared of something, it sort of becomes irrational. I think we've got to get a balance between government, the trade unions, but at the core of this all is fear, and we've got to allay that fear. And my 4-year-old grandson shouted at me, 2 meters, Grandpa, the other day when we were flying a kite because I came a bit close to him accidentally. He's conditioned, and it won't go until we deconditioned him. We're all conditioned. So let's get moving. And that would be we're going to have to do it sometime. Whether you do it in June or September doesn't matter. The schools need to go back for the sake of the health of our children.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much
Thank you for
indeed.
joining us this morning.